a very underrated storyline that I don't think many of us really put that much stock into because, again, this has to do with two rebuilding teams, has to do with Sam Darnold's return to the New York Jets as a member of the Carolina Panthers. Now, before we get to this, just do me a favor, sack the like button for me for the YouTube algorithm, consider subscribing and turning on our notifications, and follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok if you want to be in touch with my shorts. That's what I've been really experimenting with lately. All my shorts that I eventually upload to YouTube usually go through TikTok first. Now that we got all that out of the way, break! Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? So one of the most underrated storylines, like I was saying in the beginning of the intro, is Sam Darnold returning to the New York Jets, only this time as a member of the Carolina Panthers. And the reason why this is so underrated is there was actually a point in the offseason where we were asking the question, what should the New York Jets do with the number 2 overall pick? This is a team that clearly stunk last year. They were absolutely horrific. And I don't think, at least most of us didn't think, it was really Sam Darnold's fault. Yes, there were really bad moments like the time where he got destroyed against the New England Patriots and was caught on camera saying that he's seeing ghosts out there. But at the same time, this is a man whose only head coach throughout his entire NFL career was Adam freaking Gase, bro. Like, you could give, I firmly believe that you could give Tom Brady Adam Gase as a head coach, and even he will struggle, at least unless if Adam Gase agrees to sit alongside the sidelines and not really bother Tom Brady. Going back to last year, the New York Jets were placed in a fairly peculiar position. After an entire year where they were expected to tank for Trevor Lawrence, probably the most transcendent or the most overhyped prospect since the days of Andrew Luck, and prior to that, the days of Peyton Manning. Well, during the entire season, despite them being simply 3 years removed from trading 2 second-round picks the very same year that they decided to draft Sam Darnold and a future second-rounder, which eventually became the number 34 pick, just so they could move up 3 spots to select their potential QB of the future, well, they were once again in this situation where they're losing each and every game due to mainly horrible coaching schemes and just absolutely brain-dead defensive adjustments from Greg Williams. Well, once again, the hype is surrounding the New York Jets to take the most exciting quarterback prospect in the NFL draft that offseason. And to be honest, this is something that made me scratch my head because I don't think they gave probably one of the best prospects and most underrated prospects in the 2018 NFL draft a fair shake. You gave him Adam Gase to quote-unquote develop him. This is a man that literally came out and said that he failed to develop your quarterback properly. This is a man that ran halfback dives to the point where I wanted to throw up while watching Jets games. This is a man that clearly had no idea how to utilize the remarkable defense that he was given. So I was very firmly against the trade away Sam Darnold to a different team, which, by the way, the return that the Jets received for Sam Darnold, in my opinion, was disgusting. They received a 6th round pick and a 2nd rounder and a 4th round pick in 2022. Now, of course, if you look at the entire draft capital that the New York Jets were able to amass as a result of this, it actually looks pretty good, but it was just a really big mismanagement of Sam Darnold's career because you can make the argument that Sam Darnold was the Zach Wilson of 2018. But I digress because the Carolina Panthers faced off against the New York Jets in Sam Darnold's very first game as a Carolina Panther against his old team. And this was a very big game because this was the game that kind of came out and told us whether or not Sam Darnold was the problem or if it was the New York Jets that was the problem. How good would Sam Darnold be now that he actually has a supporting cast, a competent coaching staff, and mainly a head coach that wanted him there, that believed in him so much that said, hey, let's not go after Deshaun Watson. We have our guy in Sam Darnold. So, well, we got our answer in that game. In the first half alone, Sam Darnold went 17 of 22 for 234 yards, had a passing TD and a rushing TD, which was better than most of the games that he's ever had with the New York Jets. To give you an idea, Sam Darnold only had one game all of last season in which he threw for more than 234 yards. And then you look at Zach Wilson, and I want to be very, very clear. I am not calling Zach Wilson a bust. I am not saying that Zach Wilson's going to have a horrific career. I'm just kind of looking back at the offseason and just reflecting because, again, Sam Darnold and Robbie Anderson came to town and spanked the New York Jets, which is a rebuilding team, by the way. They had a great offseason, but we have to admit, this is a team with a rookie QB. Their best wide receiver is Corey Davis. They have a lot of work to do, but they do have the right pieces in place. They have a great offensive coordinator. They have a great head coach. This team will eventually be good. However, it is really difficult not to reflect on the offseason, especially given what's happened. I think the best play of the entire game was when Sam Darnold, who was a former Jet, hit Robbie Anderson in stride on a 57-yard touchdown pass that gave Carolina the 9-0 lead, which, bear in mind, Robbie Anderson was also a former New York Jet. He finished with 2 touchdowns, 1 passing, 1 rushing, and 0 interceptions on the day, and I can't help but feel as if the New York Jets made a mistake in the sense that I don't think they really should have traded Sam Darnold in this instance. I always believed in Sam Darnold in the sense that I felt like the talent was there, but you just had to put him in a situation where he'd have confidence. And in this situation, the Carolina Panthers had Robbie Anderson, which is a guy that he's already had familiarity with. They have Christian McCaffrey, who is arguably the best halfback in the entire NFL, which is a phenomenal cushion, especially if you're going to have a play action heavy offense, who, by the way, happens to be younger than Joe Burrow is, even if he was drafted 2 years earlier than Joe Burrow. So what do I think that the New York Jets should have done? And again, this is of course assuming Zach Wilson doesn't turn into some kind of Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes hybrid, which I understand the hype surrounding Zach Wilson back then, and still the hype surrounding Zach Wilson now, is the fact that he had Patrick Mahomes-like tendencies. He had the ability to improvise when he was running out of the pocket. He had a cannon of an arm, and that is pretty much the hype surrounding Zach Wilson. Well, in this instance, I would have wanted to capitalize upon that hype. I would have offered the San Francisco 49ers the opportunity to trade for the number 2 overall pick. I would have given Sam Darnold another opportunity because I would have preferred the multitude of first-round picks I would have received from the San Francisco 49ers to move up to the number 2 overall pick and building around Sam Darnold. And for all you know, that may have been all he needed to succeed, instead of just automatically giving up on him and chasing the shiny new toy that is Zach Wilson. And I'm not saying, once again, I'm not saying this because I hate Zach Wilson. I'm not saying that Zach Wilson's worse than Sam Darnold. I'm not saying one's better than the other. I'm saying just strictly from the means of an asset management standpoint. I know typically when a brand new front office comes in, a brand new head coaching staff comes in, brand new offensive coordinator comes in, and the entire culture is on the cusp of being shifted, typically your quarterback is going to change. And that's pretty much what happened here. But I don't think it was necessary in this instance. I don't think Sam Darnold made plays that I looked at him and said, hey, this is a bona fide draft bust. You have to get rid of him. He's a scrub. I didn't see Mitchell Trubisky-like play from Sam Darnold. And Sam Darnold was significantly different from Trubisky in the sense that Trubisky had remarkable weapons around him. He had Allen Robinson. He had a head coach that also had a pretty good mind for offense and play calling. Matt Nagy has pretty good play design, in my opinion, although his decision making is questionable sometimes in the sense where there are specific quarterbacks that he should start as opposed to playing Andy Dalton, but I digress. Sam Darnold, once again, had none of that. He had Adam Gase. He had an aging Frank Gore. His best wide receiver was probably Robbie Anderson throughout his career. His offensive line was suspect at best until they brought in Mekhi Becton, which was a huge hit, by the way, as a draft pick. I don't think he ever got a fair opportunity to show what he's made out of. But look, for all you know, Sam Darnold could have a horrible, horrible career with the Carolina Panthers from here on out, and Zach Wilson could be like some sort of Tom Brady, Michael Vick, Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson hybrid, and this video could age really, really poorly. But I am just speaking strictly from an asset management standpoint. I think the New York Jets should not have traded Sam Darnold, especially given that he's at the very least an adequate game manager that at the very worst case you could have running your offense for a year, add 2 additional first round picks or 3 additional first round picks. I don't know if the move from 14 to number 2, it warrants that type of draft capital. Someone let me know in the comment section down below. So in the sense of just asset management, I do think the New York Jets made a mistake. But in the sense of talent, well, I can't really make a ruling on that because we don't know how good Sam Darnold's going to be for the Carolina Panthers, and we don't know how Zach Wilson's going to be for the New York Jets. And I don't think it's fair to grade such a move up until maybe 2 or 3 years later. So let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about this. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.